Every year, nearly 100,000 horses are transported thousands of miles across Europe to slaughter. To the International League for the Protection of Horses, this is 100,000 too many. Yet thanks to the ILPH and other organisations, that number has dramatically reduced. Their tireless campaigning has led to fewer horses being transported to slaughter than ever before. In 2001, the ILPH began groundbreaking research into the trade in horses for slaughter.
The key findings of my research are the huge reduction in numbers of the horses that are being transported live for slaughter into and between the EU member states. We've seen a reduction of from 165,000 horses in 2001 down to 99,000 horses in 2005. The most encouraging piece of information is that we've seen a decline of over 40% with regard to the number of horses that are being traded and entering into the EU for slaughter. This graph clearly illustrates the decline in numbers of the horses for slaughter entering into and being traded between the EU member states. It also shows clearly that the majority of horses are going to Italy. This research is an update of the 2002 Transportation Campaign research, and as a result, the statistical analysis of the movement of horses for slaughter stretches back to 1990. The majority of horses are destined for Italy. In 2005, 84% went to Italy, compared to 7% to France and 5% to Belgium. The number of horses entering Italy has reduced dramatically since 2001, when 145,000 horses entered for slaughter. By 2005, this number had dropped to 82,000. Interestingly, the carcass trade has increased, and we've seen a 6% increase in the amount of horse meat imported into Italy over the period of the research. Traditionally, the majority of horses have come from Poland and Romania. This is still very much the case, but the numbers have decreased dramatically. In the early 1990s, over 100,000 horses were entering Italy for slaughter from Poland. By 2005, this had reduced to 28,000. From Romania, in 2001, 60,000 horses were transported to Italy. By 2005, this had reduced to 11,000.
It's difficult to know exactly why the numbers of horses being exported from Romania to Italy for slaughter has dropped so markedly in the last year or so. It may in part, though, be due to the problem of infectious equine anemia that has been occurring in Romania for some time. It only affects horses. They have up to 16,000 cases of EIA in Romania at any one time, and their eradication program is advanced but has a long way to go yet. But because of that disease, the European community laid down rules in 2004 to ensure that disease was not introduced into the European Union, and this itself may have cut down the number of horses that were being exported.
We've seen an increase in the number of horses entering Italy from Western Europe, specifically from Spain. In 2005, over 10,000 horses entered Italy from Spain for the first time.
The work that Emma has been doing for the last few years is so important to us so that we understand fully the extent of the trade in horses being moved long distances for slaughter, particularly into Italy. And for some years we have had our own officers and investigators working in Eastern Europe and also more recently in Italy, trying to get a clear handle on the trade, the extent of the trade, and the conditions under which animals are being transported. And this research is one of the essential elements of that package. And it does give us some very clear data, and it therefore confirms in our mind that we need to continue with our work, our campaigning and our research work into the long-distance transport of animals for slaughter, so that we can see an end to this trade, which is so unnecessary.
The overall objective of the ILPH's campaign is to end the long-distance transport for horses for slaughter. In the short term, we're working to achieve improvements that will increase the overall cost of transporting live horses to slaughter, making it more attractive to move towards a carcass-only trade. And Emma Leckie's research is key in actually providing and building a case of what is going on at the moment. The ILPH will be tackling the issue of journey times and space allowance because this is key to having a direct impact upon the welfare of horses transported to slaughter. We will also be looking at enforcement in terms of the new regulation. But to do this, we need to continue building a case, and it's work like Emma Leckie's research that's key to doing that, alongside our work in the field, our work on scientific research, for example. We need to continue building a case so that we can present the evidence that this needs to be stopped.
The conditions for all animals transported within the EU have changed, but we are still concerned within the ILPH that animals can be moved and frequently are moved immense distances before slaughter, and this data is essential for us in order to underpin the campaign which we will have to mount and are continuing to mount to persuade the Member States and the Commission of the EU that we do need to introduce finite journey limits which will move towards a total cessation on the long-distance transport of animals for slaughter.
The research was undertaken to inform the campaign so that we actually know what is actually taking place at the moment. It's with this evidence we can actually measure whether there is an improvement within the trade. And the encouraging factor is that it's moving in the right direction. However, there's still an enormous amount of work to be done to ensure that horses are no longer transported long distances to slaughter.
The key concern for the ILPH is that 100,000 horses are still being transported for slaughter on a journey that is completely unnecessary.
If you would like further information about the work of the ILPH and how you can help, please phone 0870 366 6928 or visit www.ilph.org.